Welcome and thank you for joining this webinar, Optimize Human Resource Management and Efficiency with Acro. My name is Grace with Queen Wellington Redwood, and I'll be your host during these sessions. Before we start the webinar, I would like to point out the question panel that appear on the side of this screen. Please feel free to ask any question using that question panel. We will have a Q&A session at the end, which I will read out the question from that question panel. And our presenter today, Olivia and Nikhil, will try to answer all the questions here. If you are facing any technical issue, kindly contact us by using that question panel at the side as well. I will do everything I can to help you on those issues. The duration of this webinar will be around 30 minutes, and we will have around 10 minutes of Q&A sessions at the end. And we will also record this webinar and will make available for you to view the presentation slide later. And now, without any further delay, I would like to introduce you our presenter today, Olivia and Michiel.
Welcome everybody. My name is Michiel de Boer. I am Director Consulting of Asia, and I do this session together with Olivia, who will go into details about Acro later. Queen Wellington Redwood. We are a consulting firm that started in the beginning of the 90s. Our portfolio started with service management, otherwise known as ITIL as well. But we have built up our portfolio in areas of architecture, governance, sourcing, lean, and service management in general. In our experience, referring to Acro, it seems a little bit of a strange methodology in this sense. It is actually not. We have actually figured out in our experience that the moment we implement any type of methodology in an organization, what frequently is missing is the backbone within the organization. And Acro provides a very nice backbone. As I said, we will discuss Acro in detail later, but really provides a very solid backbone for any type of methodology. And for that reason, our portfolio is spread out into this area, as well as management of change. We are really a thought leader in a majority of best practices, and we are being appreciated for that one as well. And for a number of years in a row, we are in the top 10, and this year and last year actually #1 for our sourcing methodologies as well. What our approach towards consulting is, but not only limited to consulting, we also do that with education, is that we don't just come with a set of practices according to a book or a logic. We do bring a lot of practical experience in training, and if it comes to consulting, we don't roll in a set of books. What our aim is, and what makes us proud, is if we can see that a customer really profits from our effort and understands the value and can work with that value. Yeah, and that is really the driver behind basically all the activities we do in consulting and training. Yeah, and a quick view in our portfolio. Yeah, we see governance, we see sourcing, lean, and what is currently really popular in the market, the agile and DevOps areas. A lot of sourcing management services, yeah. And as I mentioned as well, in our academy approach, all the practices we offer as consulting in our portfolio are properly supported with accredited trainers in these methodologies as well. In this webinar, as I explained, we are covering a few topics. First of all, what do we cover under resource management? Olivia will go into detail about Acro itself, but when we look at human resource management, and specifically at Acro, it is not the standard straightforward HR activities as known currently in the HR world, where ACRO really is about is setting down a method and a plan throughout the organization. If I look at HR activities like leave management, payroll execution, and those kind of things, those are the pretty straightforward HR activities we do not discuss. What we do discuss are the basic HR activities that are under management activities and leadership activities, how to build up your capabilities in an organization and how to make those capabilities effective and efficient in an organization. In this webinar, we will briefly go through what is ACRO itself, and why ACRO is really beneficial to an organization. We give a short overview about over the available courses, and we will briefly focus on ACRO benefits. As Grace mentioned earlier, our Master of Ceremony in this webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. We will focus on them later after the presentation itself.
Each distraction costs you 20 minutes to regain full concentration. Your employees obtain no clear responsibility? Too much overtime? Do you have leadership qualities? ACRO, Active Qualified Human Resource Organization, provides increased transparency, efficient planning, and individual reporting. Less interference in a stress-free working environment saves you up to 1 day per employee per week. Do you know a project which has a return on investment within 2 months and is risk-free and sustainable? For business and management, more efficiency. For managers and team leaders, increased transparency. For the employee, undisturbed work. Welcome to ACRO, Stress-Free Efficiency.
What I mentioned earlier, ACRO and the scope of ACRO does not cover all HR activities, as I mentioned, as payroll, leave management. Those are not considered in this methodology. In this methodology, we really talk about how to make individuals and teams as effective as possible. And in that scenario, yeah, we do talk about interruptions, and interruptions and distractions are a major reason of inefficiency. Last-minute activities, bad communication, qualification of resources itself. However, I consider that as a lesser part of inefficiency, because that is something we should manage from an intake perspective. Not enough resources, unclear requirements, and then we come later to understand that this is really a major one, yeah, and consistently changing priorities, and that is the continuous business pressure every organization is dealing with today. Change is the only consistent we work with today, and how do we actually manage an organization with consistently changing priorities and environments, and those are a few elements we try to get in control with a proper implementation of ACRO itself. Yeah, for the area of distractions, here is a nice calculation. If we do, and this is done by statistical research, if we look at people that work in an office day in, day out, on the average they receive 37 emails, business related, so not the personal emails. Every 1 out of 3 email has an attachment, and they are not always being read. Yeah. Working together with colleagues and management causes a number of distractions, and on the average we can talk about 27 planned disruptions a day. If we sum them all up, and let's assume these are not a part of the normal working packets we need to deal with. We deal with a number of distractions, and every time we have a distraction, it takes a while before we are fully concentrated back at the task we were previously dealing with. Yeah? And a research study showed out, he is being averaged as 15 minutes, but the research study showed out that it takes an average person between 10 and 20 minutes to be fully concentrated back again. Now, if we sum the amount of distractions up and calculate them with how long it takes for us to be fully concentrated, we can understand that there is quite a big bulk of inefficiency in those areas. Yeah, so that is the basic core mechanism around ACRO that needs to be tackled. Yeah, from a project perspective, inefficiency does cause other things as well. It has not only an effect on the stress of an individual, it also has a major effect on the effectiveness of the business itself. And when we say an effect on the business itself, the majority of the organizations work on existing services as well as continuous changes. Yeah? And that means that projects are a very important part of the work package. And if we look at the effectiveness and efficiency of the way projects are being run, we see that 30 to 40% of the projects are being terminated prematurely, and that is really a staggering amount. 70% of all projects fail when it comes to implementing the actual requirements. Yeah? Projects on the average for an 89% are exceeding their budget, and project times are exceeded on the average by 120%. So if we purely talk from a project management perspective, inefficiency is really expensive on a project basis as well. Yeah, and if we look a little bit on the reasons behind that, and I mentioned that earlier, yeah, number one reason for projects to fail or to cause budget overrun or time overrun is really specifications. Creating the project specifications is a very important part, and be very accurate at the early start of a project, managing the expectations both from the supplier as the receiver. In this case, the project is the supplier, the customer is the receiver. Managing those expectations are a very, very crucial element, and in my opinion, management of stakeholders in that sense as well. As a project manager, I know how important it is the moment I kick off a project that everybody is available at start and everybody in my project is available for 100%. I know if somebody not available for 100%, then it will take me a lot of effort to get that person involved in my project, and I need to chase that person all the time. So missing resources at the start of a project or not being able to fully claim people in a project is a very important element as well. And of course, we deal with a number of pure project management related elements as well, such as insufficient planning, no proper project management qualifications in the organization. Yeah. Governance, yeah, we see here politics, divisions, egoism, authority issues. I think proper governance is a very important one. I know that the majority of the projects succeed by proper communication, and communication is a very, very important element here as well. And the deeper we go, the more we see actually to a technical area. And that is one thing I always find interesting to understand, because everybody always has the idea that proper project management comes with properly educated people. And we actually see that those are the minor reasons why projects fail. It is not the qualifications. Of course, qualifications are very important. I'm not undermining that one. But the real reason why projects fail very frequently is the way an organization behaves around the project. And that element needs to be brought in control very much. And to discuss that, we will be going into the details of ACRO itself. And for that, I will hand over the presentation to my colleague, Olivia.
Thanks, Mikhail. So Mikhail has pretty much painted a pretty bleak picture of all the challenges and the resource issues that come with implementing projects, and really part and parcel of working life, basically. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk through what ACRO is, how ACRO will benefit you as an individual as well as an organization, and share a bit about what the ACRO course is all about. So again, what is ACRO? ACRO here stands for Active Qualified Human Resource Organization. It is essentially a framework which is focused on providing a role-based mechanism with the aim of reducing stress through optimizing and reducing the levels of unplanned interruptions. So it really is about a structured approach to implementing efficient HR management throughout the different organizational layers. And by this I mean at the individual worker layer, at the department layer, and throughout the whole organization. The beauty about ACRO is that it can be implemented in large organizations as well as small or medium-sized organizations with 7 or more employees, and there are tons and tons of customer references that have showcased that. Right? And the thing is, today there is really no practical concept that exists which talks about how to inculcate a stress-free and efficient human resource management practice. Now I'm going to share with you why ACRO. So again, ACRO is a structured, flexible, easy, and really it aims to introduce greater transparency in how we manage our resources. So as I mentioned, it cuts through multiple layers within the organization. At the highest level, at the organization level, we're really talking about efficiency. So ACRO, based on certain researchers and analysis, have proven to save up to 1.5 hours per day per worker. So this amount is staggering. Imagine if you multiply that per year per worker, the results are really phenomenal. Now if you look at the managers and the team leaders' perspective, it's really about facts. Facts about who's overworked, who's underutilized, why are they overworked, why are they underutilized. Is it a skills issue? Can we improve skills matching? Is it about resource allocation? Is it about better planning on resources? And of course, at the worker level, it's really to minimize unplanned disruptions. So therefore, workers are able to focus on what are the important activities they need to look at, and ultimately that will result in high quality service delivery. One of the modules within the ACRO course covers the 4 basic color types, and I personally find this very interesting. Now, there are many color personality tests out there today in the market, and what is clear with these personality tests is that it's a quick way to establish what personality type you are and what personality types your colleagues are. And it gives you a really good feel of who are the people you're working with, what type of characteristics or attitudes they will carry, and therefore you can in a way predict their behavior towards certain situations. So if I just go through the 4 predominant colors, you've got red. Red typically is somebody who's quite dominant, has clear goals, quite authoritative, loves confrontations, does not shy away from that, and really to him or her, he really wants to solve the problem. He wants to get down to the root cause, right? Yellow, on the other hand, tends to be proactive. He or she is a people person, tends to be very enthusiastic about new ideas, and sometimes can be impulsive because they are ready to jump onto the bandwagon, right? And then we have green. Green is consistent, so they tend to be reliable, sometimes a bit risk averse, like they need to have a lot of the facts at the tip of their fingers before they want to make a decision, but they are loyal, supportive of the team, and very structured. They work in a very structured manner and very results oriented. And finally we have blue, conscientious. So blue people tend to be very analytical. They like details, they like data, they like number crunching. Sometimes they can come across as being restrained or distant. So if you look at the colors here, I'm sure you can identify yourself in some of these colors, or I'm sure you can also identify some of your colleagues in those colors. So knowing those colors would be something that we'll be doing as part of hands-on exercises with our customers. And typically everyone will have a mixture of colors within themselves. Usually there'll be about 1 or 2 dominant colors, and the ACRO course or the ACRO framework really is to help you determine your color and how to work with personalities of different colors, so you can work together in a more effective way rather than an antagonistic way. You can predict certain behaviors and work towards diffusing those behaviors. So those feedback, such that you can create the right environment to succeed. So really understanding the color types, you'll be able to, I guess, number one, understand your own behavior and the behavior of others, right? So this facilitates better communication. Secondly, you can appraise your strengths and you also identify your weaknesses. So you're really playing your strengths up and basically managing those weaknesses. You can appraise other people's behavior, so therefore you can predict how certain people will behave in certain situations. And finally, it's really about putting together a collaborative team that works together, right? So for example, you may not have too many reds in a team, so if there are too many dominant people, typically that could be quite a stressful environment, right? But reds can therefore leverage strengths of other personalities of different colors. For example, green, right? Somebody who introduces calm, who introduces reliability, right? Who diffuses the situation. So it's about playing up everybody's strengths and really working through those weaknesses that we can build a collaborative team. Right, so some typical situations where ACRO can help. Number one, lack of prioritization and transparency of work efforts. As co-workers, right, as a person who works, basically, we typically have many different roles. And I'm sure all of you can identify with situations where you're working on something and suddenly someone pops their head into your cubicle and says, oh, I need you for a meeting. Or I need you to respond to this email. It's really ASAP. Right? So if you multiply that by the number of instances and over the number of days, over the number of years, you can see that it really spirals. Right? This leads to people really not knowing how to, which work efforts to prioritize on. Right? So ACRO will give you a bit more transparency on areas to focus on, because really it's about optimizing the value of your service delivery within the organization. So that's one situation. Another one would be where typically you could have multiple responsibilities. Now I think all of us can identify with the fact that sometimes we are on projects, sometimes we are doing business as usual, right? So what ACRO does is it's a framework that introduces clear roles and responsibilities so that decision making, escalations, and execution of work is clearly understood and carried out. It's all about introducing transparency, right, of roles and responsibilities and clarity, right? I guess finally, ACRO is a framework, right? It is not mutually exclusive to other frameworks. So if you've implemented ITIL or COBIT, which is about governance, or PRINCE2, a project management methodology, it does not mean ACRO can't work within your environment. In fact, again, the beauty of ACRO is that it actually enhances or further complements other best practice frameworks out there. If you think about it, ACRO is really about people, and anything we do essentially requires people. It involves people. So the way I see it, ACRO can be considered the underlying best practice framework that supports all other frameworks. Okay, so having shared a little bit about what ACRO is, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the ACRO course itself, the target participants, the typical course structure, and really benefits to participants, i.e. what participants can take away from the course itself. If you look at the target participants, it's really broad in terms of coverage. It covers anybody who wants to improve efficiencies of their teams, and improve efficiencies of their resource management processes. So anybody who's a project manager or a team manager or a people manager, anyone who's looking at preparing role descriptions, job descriptions, and assigning roles to individuals, and basically anyone who wants to know who's doing what within the organization, right? Getting that transparency about roles and activities. So to sum it up, typical roles of people who will be interested or who could benefit from ACRO would be department heads, resource managers, team leads, project managers, change managers, and anyone basically who wants to know how to improve resource management. Here's a little bit about the course structure. This is what is called the foundation course in ACRO. It's a 3-day course which includes exam. The format of this course is instructor-led, and there'll be tons of hands-on exercises, breakout sessions, and discussions to facilitate the thought, to facilitate further understanding. The exam structure is pretty straightforward. It's 50 questions, all multiple choice. Passing mark is 50%, and it's 40 minutes duration. Currently, the exam is available in English language only. In terms of prerequisites, there's essentially none. But any basic knowledge of HR practices or project management or any process framework such as ITIL or COVID would be helpful. And really, at the end of the course, when you pass the exam, you get the certificate, the certification by APMG for ACRO Foundation. Right. So how will ACRO benefit participants or people who are implementing ACRO? I guess I won't go through all of them. Maybe just point out some key ones. I mean, essentially, it's about introducing a stress-free environment for all the staff within the organization. And when you think about stress-free, it means there's limited unplanned disruptions. People are clear of their roles and responsibilities. There is transparency in how resources are allocated. Skills are matched accordingly. Project planning resources are done correctly. And really that translates to an increased quality of work performance, right? And this then creates a cyclical effect that really increases motivation within the organization. So lots of benefits there with ACRO. Right, so before I end my part of the webinar, I would like to leave you with some food for thought. So there's a saying, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. We spend more than a third of our lives working, so since work takes up so much of our lives, we should jolly well enjoy it. It is the vision, therefore, for ACRO to remove the causes of stress so that your working environment motivates the right behavior and results in the right outcomes. Okay, yeah, so essentially this ends my part of the webinar. I now hand this over to Grace to facilitate the Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia and Nikhil. I see some questions coming in. We have an attendee is asking whether ACRO is available in Germany or not.
Let me take that. This course basically is available worldwide. It depends on the providers for this training. As an objective of this webinar, it was basically aimed at the Asian region. We operate from Asia for this perspective, but from a Quint perspective, we can deliver it worldwide. I do know that the majority of the ACRO has been developed in Germany, and the founder and the owner of ACRO is in Germany as well. So I'm very sure that in Germany these courses will be delivered. If you would be interested how to contact those people, we can provide you with that information if you can leave your details behind.
Question 1. If I'm certified on ACRO, I'll get knowledge to classify different colors to different resources in the team. Am I right?
Yes, you can see it that way. We will, as part of the course, we will have an exercise to talk about what are the typical personality traits of the different colors. And from there, we will also give you a hands-on exercise, number 1, to assess your own color. Right, and usually most people will have more than one color, and there will be 1 or 2 which are dominant. And on top of that, you'll be able to assess your colleagues as well from your perspective. It's also good that what we normally do is we have breakout sessions where everybody assesses themselves and everybody shares what their color is. And typically we have exercises where we put people of the same color together and we look at the results of that. And after that, we have an optimum mixture of different colors and we look at the results of that. So it really gives you a hands-on view. I hope that answers your question.
If I am allowed to add on to that, what is very important to understand, Raja, as well, that it should not be one person in an organization who's knowledgeable about acro. It really should be a common knowledge throughout the organization. If we do talk about the color types, if I would have somebody next to me who is very blue, I can be extremely annoyed by that person and its behavior because I do not know where his intention comes from. And the moment I understand that a person actually by nature has a very dominant blue in his character, my patience and action towards that person will change totally. Yeah, and so I won't feel annoyed, but I start understanding where that person comes from the moment he starts elaborating on all the details around something. And he doesn't do that to annoy me. That is in his character. Yeah. So and that is what, as an example, what I'm trying to say. It is important that these colors are understood throughout an organization, and not only being kept within those with a select few. Yeah. So yes, as Olivia mentioned, it is important. The moment that you get certified, we will help you with the tools to understand those colors and being able to identify them with yourself and others, but it should be commonly shared knowledge. Thank you.
Another question is coming in. The question is, if I'm from HR team, how acro can contribute in my performance?
We have helped a number of HR departments in this area, and my experience with those people that are involved in an HR department, they see acro as a very welcome addition to their existing set of responsibilities. A part of acro falls on the responsibility of management, team leads, for example, properly planning the resources, making sure that and we didn't go in all the detail in this webinar, but that you really appoint somebody who's taking care of the communication as a contact person, that you appoint somebody who is really responsible for the daily activities business should run, and that you schedule people who are involved in projects, and that is planned appropriately. That is a normal management responsibility. So there are a number of responsibilities from an HR perspective you need to govern throughout the organization. What I also understood from a number of our customers from HR is that the color types were extremely helpful during the selection period. The moment they need to select some people and they actually understand the color mechanism, you will see, and as Olivia explained that as well, if you work a little bit with the color mechanism, you will identify that the color mechanisms really works very quickly. It is not a full psychological analysis. Within a few seconds or minutes, you actually can determine what kind of person you have in front of you, and that helps you with selection and matching. So there are a few mechanisms in acro that really enriches HR. It does not, as I mentioned, overdo payroll, leave management, and those kind of things, but it helps in extending that part. And the way I see HR fulfilling a part of the acro mentality in an organization is that I strongly believe that the actual governance should come from HR to make sure that all the managers and employees in an organization follow the same guidelines and principles.
Okay, we have another question coming in. So the question is acro be suitable for HR only?
The answer is very short. No. Acro is suitable for a whole organization. And the mechanisms of acro we use in our own consulting teams. The moment we do a consulting order with a large customer, basically, within our project team, we apply Acro, especially apply the colors, making sure that we really understand each other inappropriately and that we have a proper mixture of a team. So the right colors and dominancy of colors are being represented in the team, as one example. I can apply Acro in one team only. I can apply Acro throughout the organization. So it is not only aimed at HR or one team, it should be carried over the whole organization. But what I also mentioned in my previous answer is that I think HR does fulfill a very important role in assuring that the Acro mentality is really managed throughout an organization appropriately. So I really see a governance role for HR to roll this out.
I would like to remind everyone that the Q&A box is still open. Please feel free to ask any question throughout these sessions. Olivia and Mikhail will try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, we have another question. Is Acro and project management make sense?
I would actually put a counter statement to that one, saying project management without Acro doesn't make a lot of sense. That is more from an experience part. To answer your question, yes, that makes fully sense. As a project manager, I would be very helped if I can really trust the amount of resources that are being appointed to my project. That requires planning from the different teams. Yeah? So if I have a project and I require a number of project members from various teams, to me it is very important that the team leader or manager of those teams really appoint their resources with the appropriate skill set to my project. And Acro really helps doing that. What the one mechanisms we did not really went through, but that, as I said, the webinar is quite limited in that sense. But the element we do go through, and the tool we do go through in our course, is what we call the so-called service sheets, which is a matrix between of resources, their capabilities, and their planning. And such a service plan, such a service matrix, is extremely helpful in assuring that the right individuals are being appointed to the project and being made free for the project, especially the last part. So the answer is yes.
Thank you, Olivia and Mikhail, for today's presentation. I think it's time for us to wrap up this Q&A session and also the webinar. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope everybody enjoyed this webinar. If you would like to get more information, please check out our website at www.queengroup.com. You can get access to lots of free white papers and articles, blog posts, and other material that we have on many other subjects. If you have any inquiry, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you have any question regarding Acro, I'm pretty sure that Olivia and Mikhail will be happy to discuss further with you. Thanks again for joining us today. Have a nice day. Thank you.